As parents, we often think about dance in terms of lessons, competitions, costumes, choreography, and results. But there's something much bigger happening every time your child steps onto the dance floor. Their brain is developing too. And as a parent, understanding that can completely change the way you look at your child's dance journey. Because ballroom dancing isn't just training a dancer, it's developing a whole person. Hey, it's your pal, the Dancing Housewife, and welcome back to the Dancing Housewife Podcast, where we explore the art, heart, sport, and science of ballroom dance. Today's episode is specifically for the parents of ballroom dancers. If you've ever watched your child struggle to learn a new step, get frustrated because they can't quite get something right, become nervous before a competition, or come home disappointed with their results, I want you to understand something. It's not only normal, it's an important part of the process. Because your child's dance education is doing much more than developing physical skills. It's developing their brain. Your child's brain is still under construction. One of the last areas of the brain to fully mature is the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in things like planning, decision-making, impulse control, emotional regulation, and directing attention. That development continues well into their 20s. So why is that important for parents of dancers to understand? Because every experience your child has during these developmental years is helping shape how that part of their brains learn to respond to challenges. And ballroom dancing provides an incredible opportunity for that development. Every practice, every correction, every mistake, every competition, every comeback is another opportunity for your child's brain to grow. Dance is an incredibly complex activity. Your child isn't simply moving their body. They're processing information from multiple sources simultaneously. They're listening to music while remembering choreography. They're thinking about timing while managing posture and technique. They're watching their partner while being aware of their own movement. They're making adjustments in real time. That's a tremendous amount of cognitive processing. And repetition helps the brain become more efficient at handling these demands. Every time your child practices a movement, the brain is reinforcing neural pathways associated with that skill. That's why something that feels incredibly difficult during the first lesson can eventually become automatic. And this is where I want parents to remember something. Struggling to learn something doesn't mean your child isn't good at it. Sometimes struggling is evidence that the brain is working. Your child's brain is literally learning how to do something it couldn't do before. So instead of saying, "Why can't you get this?" try thinking and saying, "Your brain is still learning." That's a very different message, and I can't emphasize this enough. Struggling, and yes, even failing, is part of the process of learning. If there's one thing ballroom dancing teaches, it's focus. Imagine a young dancer standing on the competition floor. The music starts, there are other couples around them, the audience is watching, the judges are watching, they're thinking about their choreography, they're listening to the music, they're maintaining connection with their partner, and suddenly they make a mistake. What happens next? They have a choice. They can mentally stay stuck on the mistake, or they can refocus and keep dancing. That is an incredibly valuable skill, because life is full of distractions and disruptions. School, friendships, tests, job interviews, presentations, eventually careers and relationships. The ability to say, "That happened, now I'm going to refocus on what comes next," is a life skill. And here's where mental performance training can help. We can teach young dancers specific tools for redirecting their attention. Breathing techniques, reset routines, cue words, visualization, attention control strategies. The goal isn't to teach your child to never lose focus. That's unrealistic. The goal is to teach them how to come back to focus when they lose it, and that's the skill. Ballroom dancing isn't always about following instructions either. At some point, your child has to learn to think. What happens when the floor is crowded? What happens when they forget a piece of choreography? What happens when their partner does something unexpected and disrupts them? They have to adapt, they have to make decisions, they have to solve problems, and sometimes parents, we have to let them do that. It can be hard because when we see our child struggling, our instinct is often to jump in. We want to fix it. We want to save them from suffering. But sometimes the best thing we can do for them is to give them space to think. Instead of immediately saying, "You should have done this," try asking, "What do you think you could have done differently?" That question makes your child the problem solver, and that's a skill worth developing. Now let's talk about confidence, because this is one of the biggest concerns I hear from parents. "My child is afraid they're going to mess up. They compare themselves to everyone else. They don't think they're good enough. They don't have confidence." Here's something important to understand. confidence does not come from winning. Winning can certainly give your child a temporary confidence boost, but lasting confidence comes from evidence. Every time your child learns something difficult, every time your child walks onto the floor even though he or she is nervous, every time they recover from a mistake, every time they practice when they don't feel like it, every time they receive a correction and apply it, they're collecting evidence. They're collecting evidence that says, I can do hard things. That's where real confidence comes from. And parents can help tremendously by recognizing those moments. Instead of focusing only on the result, notice the process. I notice how you recovered after that mistake. You looked nervous, but you went out there anyway. I'm so proud of you. You've worked really hard on that figure, and I can see the improvement. You're helping your child build confidence based on who they're becoming, not simply on their results or their placements. And this brings us to one of the greatest gifts dance can give your child, resilience. Because ballroom dancing will humble you. Your child will have lessons where nothing seems to work. They'll forget choreography. They'll get corrections they don't want to hear. They'll have competitions where they don't get the results they wanted. They may lose to someone they thought they were better than. They may have a bad performance. And yes, they may cry. That's not necessarily a bad thing because the goal isn't to protect our children from every difficult experience. The goal is to teach them how to move through difficult experiences. Failure gives the brain information. So instead of what's wrong with me, we want to teach your young dancers to ask, what can I learn from this? That's a completely different mindset. And parents, you can help reinforce that after competitions. Instead of immediately asking, did you win? Try asking, how did you feel about your dancing? What are you proud of? What did you learn? What do you want to work on next? Those questions shift the focus from judgment to learning. Let's talk about emotions next, because young dancers experience a lot of them. Excitement, nerves, frustration, embarrassment, disappointment, pride, jealousy, fear, joy. And sometimes all of those emotions happen in the same competition, in the same heat. Remember, your child's ability to regulate those emotions is still developing. So when your child melts down after a competition or gets extremely frustrated during a lesson, that doesn't necessarily mean they're being dramatic or difficult. It means they're learning. And we can teach them tools, breathing, reset routines, positive self-talk, visualization, recognizing what they can and cannot control, learning to pause before reacting. These are mental skills, and just like dance technique, they improve with practice. One of the things I love about ballroom dancing is the community. Young dancers interact with teachers, coaches, partners, competitors, judges, and other dancers. They learn how to communicate. They learn how to accept feedback. They learn how to work with a partner. They learn that other people may have different strengths and weaknesses. Those are powerful social and emotional lessons. And sometimes the most important thing your child gets from dance isn't a trophy. It's a relationship, a mentor, a friend, a partner, someone who believes in them. And those connections matter. And here's another benefit parents may not think about. The skills your child practices in the ballroom can transfer into school. Think about it. Dance requires planning, organization, memory, concentration, time management, goal setting, discipline, delayed gratification, attention to detail. Your child is constantly practicing these skills in the ballroom. They're learning that improvement doesn't usually happen overnight. You practice, you make mistakes, you get feedback, you adjust, you practice again. That's exactly how academic learning works too. And when children learn how to approach challenges in the dance studio, they can begin applying those same strategies in the classroom. So where does mental performance training fit? Now, that's where my two worlds come together, because as a ballroom dancer and a certified mental performance coach, I see this connection all the time. Dance provides the experience. Mental performance training helps your child learn from the experience. Think about a dancer learning a new figure. They could practice it over and over and over again, and eventually they may improve. But imagine if they also learned how to focus their attention, how to use visualization, how to manage nerves, how to talk to themselves after a mistake, how to reset when frustrated, how to build confidence from evidence, how to focus on what they can control, how to recover when things don't go according to plan. Now they're not simply dancing, they're learning how to think like a performer. And those skills don't disappear when the music stops. They go with them into the classroom, into college, into careers, into relationships, into adulthood. So parents, here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. Your job isn't to make your child the best dancer in the ballroom. Your job isn't to make sure they win. Your job isn't to eliminate every disappointment, and your job certainly isn't to manage every mistake for them. Your job is to help create an environment where your child can learn, struggle, fail, grow, and become capable. Let their teachers teach technique. Let their coaches coach. And give your child the space to develop their own relationship with dance. You can be their safe place, their encourager, their biggest supporter, their cheerleader, the person who reminds them that their worth is not determined by a score sheet. And when things don't go well, you don't have to have all the answers either. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, I'm proud of you for trying your best. And sometimes, do you want me to just listen or do you want me to help you figure it out? That last question can be incredibly powerful because sometimes your kids don't need you to fix the problem. They just need you to listen. Whether your child eventually becomes a professional ballroom dancer, dances recreationally, competes in college, or even moves on to something completely different, the brain they're developing now is going to stay with them. The resilience they're building, the confidence, the focus, the ability to handle mistakes and to receive feedback, to solve problems, the ability to keep going when something is difficult. Those are lifelong skills. So the next time you watch your child struggle through a difficult lesson, or get nervous before a competition, or come off the floor disappointed, I want you to remember, something much bigger than dance is happening. Their brain is growing and developing. They're learning how to handle challenge. They're learning how to recover. They're learning how to focus. They're learning how to believe in themselves. And that's one of the greatest gifts ballroom dancing can give a young person. If you're a parent listening right now, I'd love to hear from you. What is one mental or emotional challenge you've noticed your young dancer struggling with? Competition nerves, confidence, perfectionism, frustration, fear of making mistakes? Send me your question or topic idea because it might just become a future episode. And if this episode has made you think, my dancer could benefit from some of this, I'd love to help. Whether you're interested in one-on-one mental performance training for your child or you'd like to put together a small group of young dancers for mental skills training, head over to my website. You can scan the QR code on the screen right now or drop my URL, AntoinetteDaytalk.com, and that's AntoinetteDatalk.com into your browser. Or you can also go over the show notes and click the link there. However you get to my website, click on Book a Free Session, and we'll start to talk about your dancer, what they're currently struggling with, and how mental performance training could help. There's no pressure. There's no cost, and there's no commitment. It's simply a chance to learn more, ask questions, and see if it's a good fit. So if you're ready to help your young dancer build not just stronger dance skills, but a stronger mindset, go ahead, get the ball rolling, visit my website, and click Book a Free Session. Finally, thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please click like, drop a comment, share it with another ballroom dance parent, and be sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram and Facebook so you never miss a ballroom tip. This is the Dancing Housewife signing off, and until next time, happy dancing!